Alright, so I got my ISO set to the moon here, 16,000 ISO. So what we're kind of looking at here, if you can tell, this is the whole steering assembly, center link, tie rod, pitman arm there, and connects to where the steering box is right there. I can go ahead and lift those mounts right there. So right here and right here are supposed to be connected to the front subframe. They clearly are not. So that, you can even see some older welds that someone attempted to do to get it connected, and I'm sure it just broke off again. So I know there's a kit that's made to fix that issue, and there we go. So we're gonna have to buy that kit, and we're gonna have to pull the front subframe and get that welded and get it fixed. And at least at that point, I suppose I can get it powder coated to look like the rear subframe and trailing arms and make it all pretty, but just another little setback. I mean, I'm moving slow anyway, so what's another few weeks? Cars, man. Just love cars. When it's all done, it'll be worth it. I hope. Yeah. So, done for today. See you next month. We're here at Caps European with the 996 GT2. I traded my shit in and we're just gonna go with this instead. Just kidding. Okay, these upper control arms pressed out. Ta-da. He does this all the time.
Tried.
There she blows. These ground control ones, spherical bearings. Interesting thing, since I wasn't totally sure about this, they just fucking plop right in. And not super sure if it's correct because there's like the tiniest bit of play in here. And let's see. So we'll see. I got a couple of homies that have these. Blah 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 blah. I'll figure it out. Solid piece instead of using a hole. You wearing your work loafers?
No, dude, these tall.
So how good do these look? So pleasant to see these. Beautiful and back together. Here we are on a October 2nd night, and we are working on getting the front subframe out. The only problem is, take a look right here, previous owner decided to weld the front subframe to the frame on both sides. We're gonna go ahead and try to cut it and get it off. That's French toast, kinda annoying. Excuse me, French. Still can't get these butt cheeks off either, and stuff like that.
I don't know why.
Alright, so made some progress on these things, getting through those a little bit, trying to take her easy, and then we're going to detail it with the Dremel. And then this happened. This bolt head also had a weld on it. So we started asking questions. Why the hell would they want this bolt to stay in there and have these welds on the backs of the subframes? Well, started to work away at that weld. What the hell is this thing called again?
Giant fucking chisel.
GFC. and then broke through it, and the bolt just falls out. And guess what? The bolt is broken in there. So the
Jerk face.
that put this back together and welded all this stuff up, literally just welded a bolt in there to have a bolt in there. Though it was only one bolt seemingly, so could be worse, but also still.
It's not doing anything.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Chiseling welds. My camera battery doesn't die. Nice. Oh, there goes the box right here. It's trying to sink down with everything. Goes out, people, pretty much.
Counts.
There you go. There she blows. New bracket there. Cut through a bunch of it. So out here, ground down the face of that side, this side, the new steering bracket going in. So here where we had to remove old welds, so I'm grinding those down. I'm gonna wire brush them too to get it a little bit cleaner so we can weld each of these back together a little bit. Also, worth noting, I just started a fire. I thought I saw an orange sunset glow hitting this grass over here. Turned my head and looked, and it was about 3 or 4 foot flames. But we had a hose nearby, so we're all good. We're all good. Just like that, everything is welded up and ready for powder coat. Close these up, try to flatten them out a little bit, and got that all brushed off, welded up both sides, and we're looking good. One thing I just thought of too is not having this box mounted here and how it pivots down and up and has the one point where the bolt has to go through here. A little bit scared between you and me that if it's gonna line up and it's already welded, then maybe I should have done this in the car. But here we are, so we'll see. All right, we're back here with bolt extraction day. We got Jeremy manning the drill. We got Chris on supervision.
For once, it's not the white guy.
What are you seeing?
Well, it's a bolt hole, and there's half a bolt up in there.
That's all we know.
Yeah, that's my professional diagnosis. Now we need a 13mm combination.
Hey.
Oh, butter, dude. Butter.
I'm a little skeptical. It feels good in my hands, but...
10 kids all day. Even though it's good money, you're gonna have money no matter what. So you'll get experience.
Doing something else is what he's saying? Threads chased, other bowl working well. Bolt.
One more thing down.
Done, dude.
And the awesome last owner, instead of doing that, decided to just weld the subframe to the frame.
Yeah, right?
Isn't that what everyone
That
does?
literally took 10 minutes.
10 minutes of this over. How long do you think it took him to weld it?
Yeah,
And just
even how much longer?
setting
it
up
took.
the welder in it, like
Well, and then fucking scraping all the...
yeah, grinding it
Spray
down.
stuff,
Yeah.
Next one! One's broken!
I can't do it anymore.
Next one! One more! One more! Almost!
What?
One.
dirty.
Right?
Real though.
Ta-da!
One.
Did a little Walmart run. We got everything we needed. So we are working on the old sway bar mounts off. Still got some tabs. A little too tight to this guy, so we're hand filing those ones down.
It's wonderful.
It's really fun.
It's the most fun I've had all week.
Nice. Glad you're here. This side's already done. Get all this undercoating stripped off, and obviously maybe spray down tomorrow to clean it up before welding the new guys on, which are over here. These fat boys. Like that. These are the new bushings, like so. These are the old ones. A little smaller. On the rears, we got for each side reinforcements to weld on as well. We get the gas tank out first, clean all the undercoating off, and prep that for metal too. Hopefully weld these guys on tomorrow. And as well, we have the front subframe back from powder coat with got a coat in there a little bit. That steering bracket in there. So that's tight. Subframe mounts. Cleaning those up. Oh, still got a little bit more to clean up on these rail spots, but just making sure that there's no surface rust. This is where the weld was when the subframe was welded to the frame, so still got a little bit more to clean up. And then on the back here, I got this Rust-Oleum like rust reformer. Thought it was just going to be like a clear thing that ate at the rust a little bit, but apparently it's a coating, so hopefully a good coating, because I wanted to get some adhesive promoter on there, and then normal primer and Rust-Oleum paint, but I guess we'll see. I'm sure it'll be fine. They're safe than sorry. This stuff's next. So we're draining my fluorescent gas. You didn't know, converted this to take a special fuel that glows. You know, if you got a leak or anything like that, it's really good. It's really great. So taking the final piece of suspension out. A little late on that, but never late than never, you know what I mean? And a fun little bonus on it too is missing one of the nuts securing it in, so that's really, really cool of the last owner. Love that. Tank is out, by the way. Nice and dirty. Lose a little weight, get a little faster by cleaning that guy off. Can't see under here too well, but there's lots of space. Got the diff mount out and sway bar over there out. Moving right along. All right, so after lots of measurement and test fitting, we got the new sway bar brackets all welded on. Those will not be going anywhere. And as well, a little bit here where that subframe was stupidly mounted, or excuse me, welded to the frame. When we pried it off, it pulled up a little bit of that, or outside metal. So obviously there's an insert in there to make it sturdier. So a little crack came from that, welded that up, gotta grind that down just to smooth it out before we paint all that up. This kit, the guy that makes them, his name is skipping my mind right now, but it's on my E28. I'll throw his name and stuff up on the screen right now. Luckily that can be used with, I think it's Energy Solutions, brackets, and polyurethane bushings, so in the future I can always just change bars easily, brackets and all that, so nice and reinforced and good for the future. So over here we have fuel stuff. Before I do the reinforcement of the brackets on the rear for the rear sway bars, I wanted to pull all this fuel stuff out, refresh it, and then kind of hide it a little bit because one of the brackets for the rear sway bar are right next to the fuel tank, kind of blocked by the fuel tank, so you have to remove that. Why we did that. And right next to these guys. So inline fuel pump, fuel filter, just to give you guys eyeballs on this. So the, I want to call them, power outlet thingamajiggers for here for power and ground. One is an 8mm, one I think is a 7mm. Don't quote me on that. And then for this fuel hose here, you got a little bit higher compression Continental. What size is this? 5/16 fuel injection hose. So both of those there. And then this right here is, beats me. Anyway, it's bigger. But just so you know how to access that, kind of confusing because it looks like it's just, like there's no hose clamp or anything and it's just right there. But when you pull this back, which was kind of hard to do right away, there is a hose clamp there. So getting all this fuel line replaced, all the soft lines, this is one that went straight from one of the hard lines to the in-tank fuel pump and does not look like it has ever been replaced. It's rock hard. Looks like it's got some original BMW markings. Glad that's getting replaced. So it's going to be all new soft fuel lines on this car with a fresh filter. Replacing, like a real nerd, any BMW hose clamps where I can, which was this one. Both of those are not. Sadly, I didn't have any small ones, just from an old parts car. But yeah, that's where we currently are. I'll show you as well what we're going to be looking at for these rear sway brackets. Got all of this, it's all ground down in the rear, just got all of the undercoating off of it. This is not welded into place yet. We'll weld up on the top there, on the sides here, and under a little bit. And then on the back, we'll sit up here like this, weld up around the top here, and on the sides there, nice and reinforced. I'll show you the other side too, and why we had to remove the fuel tank. See, the hole here is obviously where the in-tank fuel pump is accessed when the fuel tank is here. There's a little extra room for an exhaust right there, I'm sure you noticed. So anyway, this bracket right here, when the sway bar is mounted to it, it kind of protrudes out the top bracket that holds the sway bar and gets in the way of the tank. So just a heads up for when you do the tank, there's 3 huge bolts, I believe 17s that hold it on. We got one right here, we got one over there, and we got one right here. To remove the tank, all you have to do is there's 2 fuel hoses that I was just showing you. That one hard one that was super old, and then the one that comes off of the inline fuel pump that go up to the fuel pump in tank right here. As well, up through here, 3 hoses, 1, 2, 3, all look like shit. I'm gonna replace those. Those all come right off of the filler neck of the gas tank, and they go to evap something, cylinder thing in the trunk. So remove those 3 things. Remove that bolt, and that bolt as well. Remove the sway bar, and you can remove the gas tank. The one hard line that goes straight to the tank is this guy right here. This one goes to the inline fuel pump and fuel filter, which is normally mounted here, like that. But that is the hard line directly to the fuel pump. This is the line that goes to the inline fuel pump, and these are the 3 hard lines that go to that evap thing in the trunk. So mount hole, mount hole, and mount hole. There you go. So we're back after a week. Got these all welded up as I've previously shown. Got them painted. I'm gonna put some undercoating on them. I ordered from Canada. Only stuff I could find that was silver. Amazon, paid a little too much, but whatever. Got these painted as well. Can't really see them very well. Yeah. Sweet. And then up front here, don't have these taped off yet, but just gonna put a little undercoat on each side here. That's looking good. And under here as well. So paint is on, undercoating next. That's gonna be it for tonight. There you go. Just kind of caked over. Might try to give it a light mist of texture tomorrow just to give it some bit of matching, but should be good. Nice and rubberized. And the same back here. Okay, didn't record any of this, dude, but here we are. And as we can see from here, the subframe's in, dude. Forgot a washer right there, it's all good. Got all these bad boys torqued in. So just for some information in this video, all we got for install is bolt here, bolt up in there, both 17mm, both torqued to roughly 31 foot-pounds of torque, which we didn't have a torque wrench that was right there, so we just did 50. Don't tell anyone. Luckily they didn't bust. Then we got this nut, excuse me, this bolt that goes all the way through from here to the other side. I'll just go ahead and circle this on the screen because it's really hard to actually tell what's going on. Yeah, there, so we can only see the tip of the bolt way down there and the nut. So that goes through the mount for the steering box. And the whole reason we even ended up doing this is because of that mount right there, which is, as behind the scenes I said I was really worried about if it would line up or not. With that loose and kind of lined up, that was no worry to line up. So yeah, that's all in, looking great. Same on that side. That pivot arm's not tightened down yet, but it's all good. One worrisome thing as well, or other part of installment, was engine mount bolts. So they were not lining up at all. We first tried to put the subframe up in, but loosen the top of the engine mount bolts and they get all nice and loose, and then you can wiggle them into the perfect place, tighten them up, and you're all good. So a little worrisome at first, but no worries at all. So each side, one of those, two of these, and that guy right there, which is now nice and fixed and looking beautiful. And then that bolt through there, which is probably the hardest one. It's a very snug bolt. And that there holds steering box bracket and bolt, and replaced by that. And at that, for this mount, shouts to Braxiaud for coming through for the quick welds a couple weeks ago to get this powder coated. She worked, boys. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. We'll do suspension stuff maybe tomorrow. But other than that, doesn't that just look nice?
I think the most important lesson is that we didn't have to weld it up into place.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's great that we didn't have to weld the subframe to the frame as the previous owner did, and weld a bolt that wasn't secured at all to the subframe. So this is much better, much better as well. Do some beauty shots. Shouts to Jeremy for coming through.
And not welding anything.
Without him, the subframe wouldn't have happened.
I believe you.
We got the official signature here, front subframe.
Boom.
There you go. Got all these marked too, just to make sure we can keep track of any movement. Ta-da!